And joining us on the line, great to welcome back to Flow, Melanie Dyer. G'day, Melanie. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing okay. Firstly, how was your Christmas, New Year, your festive time? Did you get some quality time, I guess, and enjoy it?
I did. I spent time with my family. I was lucky enough to be back on the farm where I grew up. Grew up in Mount Russell, New South Wales. So we went out camping and water skiing, and I managed to do a New Year's Eve gig in Queensland and get across that border. Very lucky. So yeah, it was a nice sort of end/start to the next chapter. But we'll see how this year pans out.
Well, we certainly hope it's going to be a big year. I'm being very positive and optimistic. That's how I'm looking at it. I've decided that. Just on your New Year's Eve gig, what was the first song you played for 2022?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I was actually technically still in 2021 because I played before midnight. So, but I think the first song that played in 2022 was Liam Brew up on the stage with his band, and I think they were doing some sort of I don't know if they did a Lee Kernaghan song or it was fun. It was a fun gig.
Yeah, they can be fun. It's always, you think it'd be an easy choice to pick that first song, but sometimes it can be. You've got to get the right one, and sometimes it changes because of the mood of the crowd at the time as well. And,
totally, for sure. And you mix it up on the spot depending on what people want.
That you certainly do. Well, this year we're all planning on it being a bigger and better year, forgetting about things that have happened in the past. But have you coped okay through everything that was going on with COVID? Have you got a good support network around you?
I do have a great support network. Like I said, I was back on the farm where I grew up, so I was lucky to spend time with the family there and work through the pandemic in any way that I could, doing live streams and trying to keep the music, happening. I did a lot of songwriting and recording and prepared a whole new album during the time. So I was definitely very busy as much as, I didn't have live gigs and touring. I had little moments here and there in between lockdowns. I toured with Brad Cox and did an acoustic tour as well through sort of New South Wales, but yeah, it was sort of few and far between, but I just had a lot of time to write songs and get ready for the album this year. So
those songs that you were writing, did the times you were going through influence any of the songwriting, or were you trying to keep away from it?
Well, at the beginning, everything was on Zoom, obviously, because we're all in lockdown, but at the beginning I was writing about, being stuck inside and all that kind of, going crazy and whatever, but then after a while, you can only say it so many ways. So I started to think, outside the box and, look beyond the walls for inspiration and try not to write any more songs about it.
Yes, there are many out there, and you can only say it so many ways. That's very, very true.
Yeah.
And then, what was the touring with Brad like? Because that was an acoustic tour, wasn't it?
It was, during last year because of technically getting his band across the border. It wasn't a possibility, so we did an acoustic tour. I've been lucky to tour with him, for a few years up and down Queensland and in New South Wales and down into Victoria. It's awesome touring with him and picking up new fans, that may not know who I am and people, that support me come along to multiple shows as well. So it's a really good crowd that just loves music, and I think the intimate acoustic shows were really nice and really different and offered something, to the crowd that they hadn't really seen from Brad particularly before. And it was good to be out on the road during that time because I know not a lot of people could do it. I was lucky to be in a border bubble in New South Wales on the farm, so I could get across to Queensland when I needed to for work. So was very lucky in that respect, but it was a good tour.
Yeah, I was just wondering how that acoustic tour went. I saw that it was happening, so I'm glad it went really well for you and you learned a lot. That's good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, Melanie, you got a new song out, and I'm never surprised when us Aussie songwriters write songs that involve alcohol. It never surprises me, but this one's all about cheap Moscato.
Yes.
Now, I mentioned this to my wife this morning. I said, I'm chatting to this girl, and it's about cheap Moscato, and she kind of went a little bit green because it started to remind her of some incidents in her youth, and it didn't involve specifically Moscato, but some cask varieties back then that were quite popular. So I'm kind of thinking that this is the inspiration for this song for a group of girls getting out and just wanting to let their hair down and have a fun time.
Definitely. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't literally have to be Moscato. It could be any sort of lolly water, as we'll say. But yeah, it is a fun song. And it's, I haven't released any songs with alcohol. You would think that every country singer has released a song with alcohol in it to date, but I haven't yet. So this is my first one. Thought, I should probably hold off on that while I was younger and maybe not put that out there in the world. But I'm a lot older now. And I thought, it was a nice party song, let your hair down, like you said. Yeah. It's probably aimed more at the female market, but I'm sure men enjoy, a drop or two of wine here and there. Yeah, especially around your neck of the woods. There's a lot of nice wineries too, but people that enjoy wine sort of turn their nose up at Moscato because technically it's just sugar.
Yes, it is that sort of a drink, but you got. It's also the bubbles in it that really do it, and that sort of gets things going. And you make reference to that, the buzz on the bubbles in the song, and those bubbles, they can have a very instant effect, and they can have a long lasting headache effect too.
Yeah, and they can have they definitely give you a headache the next day. That's for sure.
But I do like in the way you sort of structured it in the song that, how it started, one bottle of cheap Moscato, and it doesn't really matter whether it was the Moscato or anything. It's the way that we can relate to it, because that's quite often how it starts, with just one bottle or just, one beer, and then you never know where it's going to go. And as you sing, 3 suddenly turns into 4, and then suddenly the sun's coming up. So there you go.
Yeah, it's like a countdown sort of thing. Like, it's definitely a song that I crafted, and I really put a lot of effort into making it lyrically exciting and different, and it's very structured. So from a songwriting point of view, it actually took, it took years. It was in my voice memos, and it took years of just revisiting it and, let's do that, or I'll change this up or whatever, and finally got it to a place where I thought, this is something special now. And it's definitely that concept of one will always turn into many more, and suddenly you're on the floor and you're like, oh, well, that was fun. What happened?
So, come on, Melanie, tell me, when was the last time you pulled an all-nighter like that?
Oh, so long ago. I'm too old for that now.
Oh, come on.
It takes too long to recover. I always thought, when, people older than me would say, oh, I remember doing that, but, the hangover's too bad now. I thought, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm a trooper. I can get through anything. But I have one glass of wine now, and it's not even worth it. The hangover is shocking.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. It's the hangover that does it. But safe, drink responsibly, folks. That's where we're encouraging, drink responsibly.
That's right, yeah.
Now, just going back to the production, I just want to ask you, Melanie, about the production. Now, the backing vocals, there was lots of vocals. Was that all you?
Yeah, that's all me. So I co-produced the song, and I had a lot of ideas. Obviously, you can hear a lot going on in the song, but especially vocal production is what I sort of love to do, harmonies and layering the song up, and it really kind of needed that that sort of layering in it. But it's all me.
One thing I liked about it is that it wasn't a heavy hand with it, because it's almost to a point with some songs where they become overproduced and there's too much going on, but you just seemed, whether it was with yourself or whoever was helping you out, there seemed to be that little hand of restraint, and I think that allowed the song to sort of breathe life.
Yeah, for sure. So I recorded this one with 2 awesome producers in Sydney, Pat Byrne and Pete Holes. Pete did Run Out of Road as well, my most recent single before Cheap Moscato, and they're both awesome, especially, what I'm looking for in a producer is somebody who treats your voice, authentically, I guess. So you still want to sound like yourself, obviously, and they're really good at that. So their direction was really great, and Pete mixed the song as well, and he's just great with female vocals.
Great mix to the song as well, and we'll get to hear it shortly. Now, you mentioned before that you've been working on some new songs and you've got a new album coming out. So what's sort of the timeline and structure for all that?
Well, it's all a little bit dependent on what's going on, but we're definitely, charging ahead. I'm back in the studio in next week recording the next single. I've got another exciting project happening with someone else that I can't really talk about yet, but that's coming up. And, I've got a full album that I'm working on, adding the singles that I released last year, plus more, and putting it all on an album sometime later this year. So it's all happening, but mostly songs, other than Cheap Moscato, mostly songs that I wrote between the period of, COVID, really, 2020 to now. So it's a very new collection of thoughts and ideas of what's been happening in the last couple of years.
All right, we look forward to those songs and to the album when it comes out. Now, I understand, too, you're going to be touring and you're on the 500 Miles tour.
Yes, very excited about that one. Getting on a bus with a whole bunch of other artists, and we're travelling around like old school bus tour style, which would be fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just doing a whole bunch of shows, big and small, for 500 miles, I guess, around, South Australia, that sort of area, near you guys, I believe, as well.
Yeah, not too far from us where it's all starting, and those dates, I'm just looking on your website now. You can still get tickets for them. They'll be in June 21st in Lee Creek, and then the 24th in Coober Pedy, Oodnadatta on the 25th, and the 26th in William Creek in June. So the mid-year, so it'll be good sort of timing. Hopefully the roads are all sorted and all that, because they've had some issues with that at the moment, but hopefully all going well with that. But you'll have a fun time on the tour, and I've heard about some of the artists that are on that tour, and everyone is so excited, so I'm sure you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, I really can't wait. It's been, a long time since we've been able to all get together and do something like this, so really pumped. And yeah, hopefully the roads are all better and everyone's, recovered from all the devastation that's happening there. But we're definitely keen to lift the spirits and bring the music over that way.
And I noticed some interesting things on your website for your merchandise, air freshener.
Well, I had an album called Fresh in 2017, my debut album. There's a song on there called Fresh, so keeping it fresh, it's like hang it up in your car, one of those sort of air fresheners. Very, very specific merchandise.
Well, there are good things to have on our websites and with our merchandise sections. There's nothing wrong with that. I've seen some weird things on there from time to time, but that sort of is another one. But you've got T-shirts and all that on there, as well as your music and some stubby holders, which always come in handy. It's always good to have a few in the car or the truck or the buses. I'm sure you will have when you do your tour later in the year. What else is going to be happening after the tour, Melanie, as we head towards the second half of this year? Is there something that you can let us know, or is that when the album's going to be out?
Definitely the album, I'm hoping, will be around, mid to late Q3 of the year, but I'm heading up to the big Red Bash, which will be very exciting. I'm so pumped to be a part of that lineup in the Simpson Desert, way up northwest and outback Australia. So that'll be a road trip and a half. And then the Monday Bash, I've got a whole bunch of festivals that will be announced soon in the coming months, and, music releases will be announced as well. So lots happening. If people do just want to jump on my website, there's always news there, or my Instagram and Facebook, Melanie Dyer Music. And
to the website is melaniedyer.com.au. Check that one out. And finally, Melanie, now the song's out at the moment. Are you working on a video? When can we get to see the video for it?
Yeah, definitely. Working on a video now, currently. We are getting all the moving parts together, and that will hopefully drop shortly. Not too far away. So stay tuned for that as well on my YouTube and my Facebook, and hopefully the Country Music CMT. Okay,
and we'll let people know as well when we get to see it. Is it going to be true to form? Will we see some late night action of girls in Moscato, or is that too typical of what it might be?
Well, you have to wait and see. There's definitely Moscato involved.
I'm sure there will be. All right, Melanie, thank you so much for spending time with us today on Flow. Good luck with everything else. I'm sure we'll be chatting again as the year goes on, and hopefully if you're anywhere near our studios when the tour starts mid-year, you're more than welcome to pop in and say good day to us as well. But we've got your song here ready to go. I've got a coffee, not a Moscato, to enjoy it with, but thank you so much, and can you please introduce it for us?
For sure. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Melanie Dyer. This is my brand new single, Cheap Moscato, on Flow.
One bottle of cheap Moscato, two hopeless hearts on the floor. 3 a.m. turns into 4, sun's coming up 5 minutes more. This probably is a mistake, but I like the way that it tastes. Like that sweet empty bottle of cheap Moscato. The last thing that I remember is stumbling in the front door. You took me by the hand, went dancing down the hallway, crashed into the kitchen counter, woke up the neighbors next door. Next thing we know, all of our clothes are on the floor. We got a little buzzed on the bubbles, kinda lost count of the bottles, got ourselves into a little trouble. 5, 4, 3, 2 much convincing. The second that we started drinking, I saw the way the night would start, middle and end, and so I let it hit me quickly. Things get better when you're tipsy. I just wanted you to kiss me.